Good Wednesday morning to each and every one. I am Overseer Chris. You're watching and listening, Encouraging Your Spirit, the podcast. I hope this message finds you doing well. Just thought I'd drop in today to say hi because I've been absent for a little while. The last podcast episode, we had a great episode. I hope you've had a chance to tune in and listen to it. And if you haven't, it's okay. We're the episode is available on YouTube and on all podcast platforms as well as our Facebook page. But I got a chance to sit down with Apostle Edward Donaldson and talk about his book, hashtag the Black Lives Matter movement toward intersectional theology. So I hope you will be so kind as to check that episode out when you have a chance. And it was an honor and pleasure to speak with him. And then right after that, recording that episode, that next week I was getting things together because I was planning to travel to San Diego for a work conference. And then when I came back, I was preparing to present for one of my graduate school classes. So I didn't have any episodes, any content that I was presenting. So my apologies if you've been looking at the page thinking, shouldn't a new episode be here? And there isn't one. But what I did want to share today is notes from the field because I had some thoughts and some experiences while I was traveling. And I thought, I'll share those with the podcast family. So today's empowering question would be, what are you manifesting in your life? And then the other question is, have you ever had the experience where all you manifested was your worries? So for the latter, meaning manifesting worries, my experience was one of the experiences I had when traveling. So when you're traveling and you're going to get on the plane and head out, it's one of those experiences where you don't have any control. You're literally beholden, if that's even the best word for it, to the airport, all of the airport employees, the pilot, and the flight and the plane, and praying along the way that all will be well. So when I left the 2 Saturday mornings ago heading to California, I had an early flight. I had selected that flight because I was going to be able to get to California by 3, and I was like, maybe I'll be able to go to the beach in the same day and get beach time. But shortly after I got to my gate, and you're waiting, you start seeing notices that says, delays. First it was 30 minutes, then it was another 30 minutes. By the time it got to the second, 30-minute wait, then that meant that I would possibly miss my connecting flight because I was flying from Illinois to Dallas and then from Dallas to San Diego. So then, of course, people start getting in line, and then they're passing out cards telling you, you can call, the airline, or try to, go to the website, on your phone or whatever particular laptop or particular device that you have that has access to the internet. And I noticed by the time I got to the ticket counter that they had already rebooked my flight. But by the time they rebooked it, they had rebooked it to leaving from Dallas going to Phoenix and Phoenix to San Diego, and that I wouldn't get to San Diego until like 9:30 at night, which wasn't a great experience for me. But as the ticket agent said, there wasn't anything else available. And he was like, oh, you can call, American Airlines. And I called American Airlines. And they basically said the same thing. And they were like, well, no guarantees, but what I would encourage you to do is um, when you get to Dallas, go to American Airlines and ask them, is there a chance or an opportunity that they can fly you directly from Dallas to San Diego, because they have flights all day that go straight there. So try it and see what happens. And so that wasn't bad, at that particular time. In that particular case, I was like, well, there's nothing you can do. You're beholden to this experience. So they're still delaying my flight, so I'm going to read. And so what I did was use the opportunity to read the text that I would be presenting when I came back from my class. Yet the other thing that was looming in the back of my mind was the concern about payment for the hotel. And I don't know if anybody's ever had this experience of when other people are supposed to pay for it and then you're checking to make sure that they do it. So I got this email that was like, hey, asking about, the payment authorization, which, I did have the paperwork that showed my job. Had already done that before I arrived. But in the back of my mind, I was deeply concerned about would they be charging me? And I didn't want that experience. But when I got to the hotel, that's exactly what happened. It is. It is what happened. And when I was sitting in that experience, I was thinking that's what I had manifested because I was deeply worried and deeply concerned about that. Because on one hand, yes, when I got to Dallas, I immediately went to the ticket counter, and the gracious lady that I spoke to, she went ahead and changed my flight, and I literally was leaving Dallas, and I got to San Diego at 3:30. I was sitting in the back of the plane. It was fine. It was a nice flight. It was really, really calm and collected. But I was so busy worrying about the payment and all those things that all I did was manifest that issue to happen. Now, the good news is the hotel was like, we're sorry that we did that. We really, really apologize. And they refunded my money immediately. So you're waiting on the bank to post that transaction, which, as customer service from my bank said, I could expect that, the next day. And then the the hotel also gave me 2 breakfast vouchers to have breakfast in the hotel and 2 drink vouchers for the bar. So it was just kind of like I was sitting in my room thinking maybe I should have tried being calm or just trusting that everything would be okay rather than picking worry and picking frustration. And while I'm not judging myself, I just realized, what I manifested in that situation and in that experience. And the lesson that I learned from for today and in that situation is that, the best thing that you can do in those experiences is just relax and chill out, because I had my paperwork. So it wasn't like I was waiting or depending on something that didn't exist. I actually had the paperwork that showed, hey, this has already been paid. So, there was that experience. But that wasn't it as far as terms of manifestations. I wish I could say that's all that happened. There was also the realization in packing for the trip that I realized I didn't bring my contact, the apparatuses that I use to take my contacts out, because I wear Slayer lenses, so it's not like you can open your eye and pop it out. If it's a gas permeable lens or a soft lens, you have like a contact remover, and I realized I didn't have that. All I had was the solution for the contacts and the solution to put them in, but no remover, nothing to put them in. And then the apparatus that I use to put my contact in is a ring, and that in itself, normally, considering the fact that I've had 2 eye surgeries, would literally send me into worry. But because I had that other experience, I was like, you know what, we're not gonna flip out. We are not gonna lose it. We're just gonna, relax and figure it out. I was concerned about the fact that I couldn't take my contact out because I was watching YouTube trying to figure out, okay, when you don't bring your apparatuses to take your contacts out, what is it that you do? And I was trying, but they said it didn't work. Long story short, I ended up finding a contact office that sold all of the apparatuses that I needed, and I went to that office, and I also contacted Amazon and got Amazon to deliver another apparatus that I would need as well, and all turned out well. The conference was amazing. It was a great opportunity in which I got to meet the fellows that I was working with, because the reason I got to go to the conference was because I had done this research project for Montana State University, and so it was an opportunity to talk about that work. And it was also an opportunity to go to a conference because, considering that we are living in a pandemic and, this time last year, or traveling has been pretty dicey, an opportunity to go somewhere was a real honor and a privilege. And I also got a great time to go to the beach, because the beach is my favorite place on earth of decompression. So on Sunday after breakfast, I think I ran 2 errands, and then I caught the bus over to the beach. I got me a blanket and I sat out there and stared deeply at the water and just relaxed. And there were people, out there that were sitting enjoying the same opportunities, and it was just a nice time to relax. And the weather was gorgeous. I think the high might have been upper 60s, but it still was a great and wonderful time, and I enjoyed myself. And then after that, after I left the beach, I went to this restaurant and I had a great hamburger and fries. I know that's what I wanted, because some people were talking about fish tacos, but I saw the fish tacos that they brought out and I wasn't impressed. Sorry, just wasn't impressed. So I didn't really try that particular uh, menu of fish tacos. I just really wanted a hamburger and some fries and a beer. And I had that, and I enjoyed myself. I really did. And then I got on the bus and headed back to my hotel room and just relaxed and watched TV and started, working on preparing, you know, uh, reviewing my talking points in my mind so I knew them, and then just preparing for my class the next week, doing whatever was needed for that. And it was a really good time. And then you got ready to leave on well, before getting ready to leave, during the conference, I got a chance to catch up with two coworkers that no longer work here. They're at other institutions, so it was good to catch up and see them. And then they had a really nice dinner that night where they had really great sushi. They brought out those fish tacos, but they weren't that good. But the sushi that they had, oh, that sushi was amazing. And I had a good time, chatting and meeting other people. So I love that. And then, Tuesday morning came and I was on the early morning flight, and I had asked the night before, the hotel to contact the taxi cab, and they said they would start calling because when it comes to plane rides, I'm like, they tell you you're supposed to be at the airport, 2 hours early. That's what they tell you. But I come out, it's 5 a.m. and no taxi is there for me, and I'm like, well, what am I gonna do? And so they're still contacting, the cab. They're telling me, oh, yeah, we've called a taxi 3 times. Now, the end of the story is that the airport is only 2.2 miles away. So it's not like it's a long, commute. But it's like when you're thinking, well, they tell you you're supposed to be here on time or be here. And my flight leaves at 7 o'clock. They board the plane at 6:40. And it's 5:15, and I'm just standing here looking at you. It does not feel like a good experience. But what have we learned? We've learned from manifestation of worry. I told myself standing out there, I said, we are not going to get spastic, because that will not help us. And we're not going to worry about what could happen and any negative thoughts. We are not going to do that. I said, so I got on my phone. I was like, well, the bus didn't seem to be an option because I couldn't really tell where you would walk, and I didn't want to get lost because the sun had yet to come up. And so I said, well, you know what, we can try to see about contacting another taxi yourself. And so I did start doing that, and I liked it in the sense that it would tell me, estimated time of arrival. And when it was 9 minutes away, the taxi that the hotel had called showed up, so I went ahead and canceled it. And we literally got to the we got to the airport in maybe 6-7 minutes. So I arrived at the airport at 5:30, which that isn't how I would do it. But what have we learned? You're beholden to the people that you're dependent upon. So I don't have any control over that. And I don't know about you, or if you ever had that experience in your life where you want to control things, or you want things to be different, but you don't have the ability to change it, but you still want to change it. I was living through that experience. And I also have had the experience where a lot of times in my life, I'm facing the fact that I have to let go of control, that I don't get to control things. People, situations, they're not possessions that you make things happen. You don't get to do that. You really do have to move in the rhythm and go with the flow. And I'm also learning to not overthink. And that in itself is a whole lesson, because oftentimes I have all these conversations in my mind that are not necessarily real of the situation, but they're what I think about the situation. And then when you check in with other people about what's going on, you realize, hey, that's not what this is. So I was just thinking about all of those experiences in terms of manifesting things in our life, and what is it that we deeply desire in a situation, and how we show up in our lives, and how sometimes life happens, and sometimes what, the way you think that it is gonna go, or the way that it is happening is not what you thought, and just reveling in being okay with it. Or in addition to being okay, I'm not discounting your emotions, knowing that the wide range of how you feel is totally okay. And I hope what I've said has encouraged you. So I'm just basically calling this Notes from the Field. It's a check-in. How y'all doing today? What are you manifesting in your life? What lessons are you learning about you, and about how you navigating through your activities, through your dreams, and through your goals? Let us know. encouragingyourspiritpodcast@gmail.com. Hope y'all have a good day. Peace.